Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining in today's live stream show. This is going to be an open discussion as well as a review of the new book by Dan Markell's mother, Ruth Markel, The Unveiling. And it looks like a lot of our regulars are here already, and many of you guys already have your copy of the book and have read it already, since for those of us who pre-ordered the book, it actually arrived around Wednesday of last week or this past week. So I'm also going to go ahead and share a link to everybody in the chat in case you would actually like to show up on the video and talk to everybody. So there it is in the chat box. Okay, great, Roxanne. I'm so glad you got your book. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. People are thinking that maybe Charlie has made some sort of plea deal, since his attorney withdrew the motion regarding getting the MP3 player or extending his jail visit, something like that. So we are waiting for some news. I think True Lifestyles is going to cover that, or at least read the motion or the pleading within the next couple of days. Yeah, thank you, Debt Free Dad. Thanks for being here. Debt Free Dad has a YouTube channel. He's an attorney also, so please subscribe to his channel. Yeah, thanks. Great to see you guys. Okay, so let's see. So I did put the link in the chat box to anybody who would like to join in. Also, oh, great, I see Skeeter is there. But before we dive into the book reviews and comments, I did want to mention that I'm going to have a free book giveaway. So to anyone who hasn't gotten a copy already, if you, for some reason, if you haven't been able to get the book, or you are having some financial issues such that you otherwise can't get the book on your own, everybody who is in the United States or has a US mailing address, 18 and older, and it's also publicly subscribed to this channel, can enter the drawing by leaving a comment on this video later, just saying giveaway book. And also, I have to say, thanks to YouTube's policies, YouTube is not affiliated with this giveaway whatsoever, and there shall be no liability once the book is mailed off to the address. So if the book doesn't arrive or is damaged or whatever, then I'm not liable, and neither is YouTube. Okay, so those are just some required things. Okay, so your subscription setting needs to be public so I can verify that that person is actually subscribed to this channel. And please leave a comment on the video later saying giveaway book no later than tomorrow, Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And 2 winners will be randomly chosen and announced through a community post on this channel sometime on Sunday night. So thank you. Yeah, and also I'd like to go ahead and show you guys Ruth Markell's website, which is ruthmarkel.com, and you can learn a lot more about her and lots of information there, information about her other books. This is her 10th book. And also, the book is actually available on a lot of other websites, it looks like, such as not just Amazon.com, but also on Barnes & Noble. So that's pretty great. BAM, Books A Million, Bookshop, and IndieBound. So this is from the publisher's website, simonandschuster.com. Yeah. Okay, so let's invite Skeeter. Hey, Skeeter, it's so nice to finally see you and talk to you after you've been commenting so much.
Well, hi.
Great. So you're somewhere in the Midwest, right? But you used to be from, or you used to live in North Carolina?
Yeah, I'm from North Carolina. I live in Missouri.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what part of North Carolina were you from?
Hope Mills.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you mentioned that, and I told you I had been down there before. I mean, it's not too far away from where I am.
Yeah, it's about 45 minutes from you.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, great. So have you finished reading your copy?
No, I've between grandkids playing sports and running the campaign headquarters for November, I've gotten to page 101 now.
Oh, okay. So, what campaign? You said you're working on a campaign?
It's just for my political party. It's for all the candidates. But
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. So, what do you think about the book so far?
it's made me cry in I don't know how many places. I'm going to tell you, Ruth is amazing. I'm about to cry now just thinking about her.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. Like I've read some parts again today for the second time, and it still
Oh my
made me
gosh.
tear up. And I was like, oh gosh, there are some parts of the book that I can't even read out loud because I'll probably just start bawling and making a fool of myself on YouTube.
Yeah.
And just so sad. What a terrible thing to have happened to her. And plus,
I,
given her family history, she has grandparents who died in the Holocaust, and then her father died suddenly when she was 9 years old. So she's experienced a lot of loss. And to make things even worse was that Ruth Markell's uncle, who was basically a father figure to her after her father
yeah.
died, he passed away about 3 months after Dan died. And he
Yeah.
was full of grief. He understood what had happened to Dan. And surprisingly, it's revealed here that as soon as Ruth's uncle heard about Danny being murdered, he immediately said it was the in-laws.
Yeah, some kind of Yiddish word, I guess it was, that meant in-laws, and he was pounding on the table, the in-laws, the in-laws.
Mm-hmm.
And and just reading this book, you just get a really great insight on just how cruel the Adelsons are. I mean, they're just cruel, ungodly people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's too many instances,
Uh,
just in this book, and I'm sure there's even more that she didn't write about.
yeah,
And I did notice, I don't know if you noticed yet, but she doesn't really mention Charlie Adelson much. It's just kind of like about when he gets arrested and stuff. But in terms of her one-on-one interactions, if
mhm.
any, with Charlie, it, that's kind of missing from the book, but I feel like, she probably didn't have that much personal interaction with Charlie because he's down near Miami working.
Yeah,
So,
I noticed that too. There just was really not much about Charlie. And I'm guessing that Charlie didn't go to the service in Tallahassee. It doesn't look like he
yeah.
did.
Yeah, that's right. It was just Wendy and
Yeah.
her parents that showed up to the memorial service on Sunday after Dan died. And then, of course, none of them attended the burial in Toronto or the unveiling
Mhm.
ceremony. So,
It would have
um,
been kind of gutsy for him to gone anyway, knowing what we know now.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, um, yeah. So, what else struck you about the book?
Uh, there was uh, a couple of interactions that she had had with Craig Isom made me just like him and respect him even more. I can't put my finger on now what they were, but
Well, one of the things that I noticed was that the police deliberately put off the arrest of Sigfredo Garcia because they knew that Ruth was going to have another meeting with
yes,
her grandchildren. So that was very nice of them
yes,
to time
yes,
the
yes. That's
arrest so
one
that
of
she
them
could
right
have
there.
one last meeting with her grandkids. Well, I mean, she didn't know
Hmm.
that she wasn't going to be allowed to see them for about 6 years
Hmm.
after that. Yes, it's so cruel. Yeah. So a lot of people are here already and saying hi and greeting you. So would you like to tell us more about yourself and how you got into the Dan Markell case?
uh, I don't even. I came to the case late. I think it was about 2016 before I ever knew about it. And my daughter told me, Mom, you've got to watch this. I can't remember if it was 2020 or whatever it was, but I had been following some shows on there anyway because of Pam Hupp, and I had seen Pam Hupp when I was doing some Christian outreach to prisoners at Chillicothe. But anyway, my daughter's the one that pointed this case out to me.
Mhm.
And then I think it was on the Tallahassee Democrat website. I think it was. I saw James Mentor. I saw him comment. that about his page, so I ended up following him. I think I started following him when he had like maybe 50 subscribers or something
Wow,
like that.
really? That is great.
Yeah,
You're
I
one
ended
of
up
the
being his first
original
Patreon and
subscribers.
his first mod. But
Okay, so is your daughter as much into the case as you are?
yes, yeah, she subscribes to Mentor's channel.
Yeah.
She's quiet. She doesn't say anything.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see. Whereas you're willing to publicly comment and then show
Yeah.
your face, and I know it takes a lot to do that. Yeah, given that, once you show your face and people know who you are, you might get some mean
Yeah.
comments or harassment or whatever from people out there. So, yeah, everybody be nice to the Skeeter girl and subscribe to her channel. It is called The Skeeter Girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the
It's
focus of your
nothing.
channel?
It's just I post something there out of the blue about my grandkids or my kids or something.
Mhm. Yeah,
Pardon?
sure, if it gives you personal satisfaction
Yeah.
to, just memorialize these fun
Yeah,
events with your
basically
family.
it's stuff that I want saved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see. Great. Well, if you don't mind, I did want to read some little passages here. So do you want to stay on or do you want to get off the screen? It's up to you.
Yeah, let me go ahead and get off the screen and I'll just
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you for joining in. It's so
well,
nice
thank
to
you for
see you
having
and
me.
talk to you. So awesome. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's read a few little bits here that I thought were really interesting as well. A whole book is interesting. So please, I hope that people don't just, watch this and be like, oh, well, I don't need to buy the book now because I'm not going to read the whole thing. And there's just so much information in here for anyone that has been following the Dan Markell case and cares about it. So this is towards the beginning when she talks about showing up in Tallahassee with Dan's father and Dan's sister right after they found out that Dan had been killed. Um, she says that Donna greeted us warmly, but was very busy talking to the guests who were there. This was at Wendy's home. It was very neat and tidy, verging on empty, felt very different than Dan's house, where it was clear from the playthings everywhere that two little kids lived there happily. And then you later find out that the reason why the place was so neat and tidy and looked almost empty was because they had already started packing things to head out of town as quickly as possible. Okay, so she said that Donna's behavior seemed normal because she was busy cooking and serving and cleaning, and there are a lot of guests in there. In regards to Harvey, she wrote, Harvey, Wendy's father, said a meek hello to us, but kept moving, even though he looked as though he didn't know where to go. Since arriving in Tallahassee, this was the first time I had properly seen Wendy face to face. I wanted to sit down with her for a moment to find out how she was doing, to understand how much the boys knew about what was really going on. But Wendy was surrounded by friends at all times, just like at the synagogue, and didn't break away from them to talk to us. Why? Why? I noticed that from time to time, she would disappear into her bedroom with a friend for long stretches of conversation. During one of the few moments I was able to speak with Wendy in passing, I asked her if she knew whether Dan had a will, and if so, did she know where it was? No, she replied, and kept walking. It was awkward. We felt like intruders. Okay, and then she talks about how Shelley and Phil were um, trying to join in with the children, with their grandkids, drawing. And she wrote, Harvey also seemed lost and couldn't connect, not with the play group of Shelley, Phil, and the boys, or with the other visitors. When a small group of family friends waved him over to join them, he didn't respond. I was sitting in a chair and was not engaged in the play activities, still in disbelief. Okay, so then when they were leaving, she told Wendy that they wanted to see the boys again after all their meetings the next day with the police, and she agreed nonchalantly. I said I would call when we were done to firm up the plans and wished everyone good night. We hugged the boys goodbye, not knowing this was our last family visit in Tallahassee. Okay, so then she talks about how she starts getting to run around from Wendy and After they spoke with the police the next morning, then she called up Wendy to make sure that meeting around noon was still okay. It's not, Wendy said. The boys are really busy. Okay, I said. How about 1 p.m.? Not today, Ruth, Wendy said. It's not a good day. I couldn't believe it. What a punch to the gut. I was feeling terrible already. This was my only connection to Dan. I felt the boys needed us as well. It was summertime. Benjamin and Lincoln weren't old enough to go to school, and I couldn't imagine that they had a lot of plans. However, I figured they might be feeling emotional and unsettled, so I tried not to make a big deal out of it. The Ms. Fine part of my personality was coming out. Tomorrow, then? I asked, trying to keep my extreme disappointment out of my voice. Wendy said yes, we would speak in the morning. Then Dan's sister is really upset, and so was Phil, but they weren't going to go storm over to Wendy's house uninvited. So then they decided, well, okay, maybe they'll see the boys the next day. Then the next morning, Wendy put the kids on the phone and said they were still busy, but Ruth was still happy that at least she got to talk to her grandkids, and they expected to see the kids later that day. They had already packed up a bunch of clothes and toys, wanted to bring the children's toys over to Wendy's house. Then she continues writing, after we had gathered up everything, I decided to try Wendy again. We found so many of Linky and Ben's toys at Dan's house, I said, and we'd like to bring them over. Wendy didn't even pause. Unfortunately, you can't see them, she replied. I was so worried about their safety and mine that we left the house and drove back to Miami right after we saw you. I was stunned. They were in Miami? But Wendy, yesterday you said Benjamin and Lincoln were too busy to see us. I know, Wendy said. I wanted to tell you, but I couldn't. You know, for safety's sake. I'm sure you can understand. Okay, so then, so that's one part of the story that is just already heartbreaking from the start. In addition to finding out that her son had been brutally murdered, shot in the head twice, then she is denied the ability to spend more time with her grandchildren right away, and found out they had already left to go to Miami without any sort of notice to them. Then she kind of goes back in time and talks about Dan and Wendy's marriage and how things started out, that there were some warning signs at the beginning, although she didn't go in detail about what happened at the wedding with the non-kosher food being served. Then she also talks about how Dan found out that Wendy was going to divorce him. Okay, so I'm reading from another part of the book towards the beginning. We were on the phone with him the whole time as he walked through the house. His voice was shaky and anxious as he saw that Wendy had taken much of the furniture from the living room, master bedroom, and dining room. The children's bedroom was upstairs. When he got there, he started to cry and broke down. The boys' room was totally emptied. There was no evidence of their toys, room decoration, or clothing. Wendy had even removed the beds. Dan looked in the closet. The only clothes that remained were all toddler sizes the boys had outgrown. Dan cried out, "My boy's home is gone." Luckily, we were scheduled to come the next day for the Jewish New Year. When Phil and I entered the boys' room, Phil noted that even all the wall plaques of alphabets and animals had been taken down, leaving just the nails in the walls. Okay, so she was in constant communication with her son. And in fact, that morning when Dan was shot, right before he talked with Stuart Schlazer, the teacher at the charter school, he had just finished talking with Ruth Markell. And it was just another normal conversation where he would drive into the garage and tell her, or actually it was before he drove into the garage, but just who knows when, within 10, 15 minutes of hanging up after talking with his mom, then he was shot. Okay, so here's another incident that is pretty upsetting. She talks about how before Sigfredo was arrested, she had had some visits periodically with her grandchildren, and it seems like they were always kind of awkward, and um, she and Phil were not allowed to really be left alone with the grandkids. That Wendy was always there, or sometimes, Donna and Harvey would be there, and so um, she writes, I recall an earlier visit with Benjamin and Lincoln prior to the arrest when I brought them some of Dan's childhood treasures, specifically 2 of his freshly washed toddler blankets. I asked Wendy, how do you want me to handle the blankets? She responded with, give them to the boys yourself. I did. Wendy stayed in the kitchen as I brought Benjamin Dan's blanket. He clung to it. It was very meaningful for me and brought tears to my eyes. Benjamin had not had a chance to express how deep his grief was, it seemed, as his response was profound and intense. Lincoln's response was appreciative. He placed a blanket on the bed with his stuffed animals and gave me a big hug. To my disappointment, on my next visit a few weeks later, the blankets were gone, and I never saw them again on my later visits. Okay, and then later she talks more about the arrests and the first trial back in fall of 2019, and she noted that when she was at the trial, she was seated on the inside of the aisle in the courtroom and never made contact with Wendy. Okay, and another nice quote here. A piece of Dan's writing has gained new tragic relevance for his own life. Keep the fire burning. Dan wrote this message to a friend prior to his death. We have listened and learned to, quote, keep the fire burning, unquote, despite the obstacles of the pandemic. So that's a nice quote. Okay, and I did put in a chat box a link in case anybody would like to also join in and show up on the video. So let me do that again for anyone who would like to introduce themselves and show your face so that we can have a more interactive type of live stream show. So, and I do have to thank Antoine the Gentleman, who is one of my subscribers, who told me about another attorney, the lead attorney who does these live stream shows where he often tells people to join in and talk to him live. Okay, so I just put it in the live stream if you want to join in and talk on camera. Okay, so I thought it was kind of cool that she did mention mentor lawyer, also known as also in real life, his name is James Wachowski, and his YouTube channel is called Deep Dive True Crime, and he's been covering the Markel case extensively from the beginning or years ago, back when he hardly had any subscribers, and now he has well over 75,000 subscribers. So I just thought it was nice that she referred to him as an internet personality. So okay, so this is where it kind of addresses us, the people out in the public that are all riveted and interested in a case. She says, the circumstances surrounding Dan's death are, unfortunately, a true crime addict's dream. As such stories go, at least the ones that reach the entertainment world, this one has it all. Money, fast cars, hitmen, beautiful people, sandy beaches, plastic surgery, and dueling families. Okay, then later she talks about the coverage, and she says, as much as it's been hard for me to endure all these retellings, I realize that this kind of attention is in fact a type of privilege. So many cases lose steam in the criminal justice system. This media attention might help keep the heat on Dan's case until the mystery of those who had him murdered is solved. Yes, so in reading this book and then also hearing those words, it definitely reminds me of the case regarding a friend of mine, Robert Wan, who was a young attorney in DC, He had a life sort of similar to Dan's, where he was very academically successful. He went to an Ivy League law school, clerked for a federal judge, and then he was murdered, most likely by his so-called friends, back in 2006. And unfortunately, the media attention for that case has died down for years, because the guys that I believe killed him, they were found not guilty of obstruction of justice and tampering with the evidence and conspiracy. And so, once there's not much going on in a criminal case, even though the murder is still unsolved, then unfortunately, then the case kind of drops off. Nobody's talking about it anymore. So on my channel, I do have some live stream shows about the Robert Wand murder too. But getting back to the Dan Markell case, she talks about how true crime stories often disproportionately focus on the criminal, pushing the victims and their families aside. In the excitement of scrutinizing villains and ascertaining guilt, the terrible suffering that these stories create for those left behind goes all but unnoticed. Media productions often forget the truth of true crime, the real flesh and blood survivors who are left with ruptured lives. So the consumers of true crime get everything they want, but me, I had no manual to guide me on such things as helping the police collect evidence, writing a victim impact statement, or knowing the best way to take care of myself to maintain my stamina during this lengthy process. That is why I wanted to write this book, so that I can show others. Yes, so it's wonderful that she was able to put this book together and tell us more about not only her son, but her own experiences as someone who is also victimized by this crime. And I see that, Skeeter, are you back? Hi. Hello. Did you want to say some more stuff?
Yeah, I just, something I didn't mention a while ago was, it just seemed like every chance she got, it seemed like Donna was throwing these little elbows at the Markell family, practically making fun of them. I don't know, like she didn't think they were sophisticated enough to be in her orbit or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
And
that's
I
really
wanted to
weird.
say
Yeah.
also, I think I was over talking you a while ago, but I'm getting this really bad delayed echo. So,
Oh, okay.
I'm
Well,
just going to
I hear
say
you
I
just
don't
fine.
over talk people, and I apologize if I
It's
have
okay.
been.
It's okay. You sound totally fine to me, but it's probably because you're listening to me live on your computer, and then maybe there's some echoing or whatever. But yeah, totally. That there was one other mention about Donna and her weird behavior, because on one of the
Mhm.
visits with the kids, um, when Ruth went down there, they were somewhere, maybe at a museum or something, and then Donna just went up to Ruth and said something like, "Oh, who could have done this in broad daylight?" And it's like, okay,
Yeah,
now that we know what we know, it's like the nerve of her to, try to go up
yeah,
to
yeah,
Dan's mother and say, "Oh, who could have done this in broad daylight?"
yeah. And then questioning her on how observant she was, and
Or why Dan was the way he was,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It definitely seemed like there was some like uneasiness even from the start between Dan Markell's parents and Wendy's parents. Yes. And I think she's just being too polite to really say how she felt during the
Yeah.
wedding.
Ruth is amazing. She is an amazing woman.
Yeah. And I think she struggled to remain tactful,
Yeah.
not really giving a lot of details about how she truly felt and what she was thinking in her head when these things were happening or being done to her. Yeah, and the thing with Charlie, I also think that maybe because his criminal case is just getting started, that perhaps she didn't want to just come right out and say all this information that she knows about
Mhm.
Charlie or her interactions with him, if any. Yeah. So, let me see. Okay, so
Okay,
uh-huh.
I'm going to get off of here, Judy, because
Oh,
I'm getting an echo again. I just
oh,
don't want
sorry.
to be I
Okay,
don't want to
no
be rude.
problem. Okay, thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a great weekend. Okay. Okay. So there's just a few more things that I thought I would like to mention. Of course, she talks repeatedly about her grandsons and the grandparent alienation and how she met people like Karen Cyphers and other friends of Dan that were very helpful in getting the grandparents act enacted in Florida. She wrote here towards the end of the book, our grandchildren, Benjamin and Lincoln, will find many opportunities to listen to and learn about their father's story through recordings, social media, podcasts, TV shows, and his published work. Our greatest hope is that they will see where their father lived, visit his gravesite, and connect with his living family. Okay. And then the last part that I wanted to mention during the live stream, she said, I promise to keep the fire burning inside and out. The inside is my motivation, determination, and strength to move forward in a terrible set of circumstances. The prosecutors and law enforcement, in their search for evidence and further convictions, are my external support. We are pained as every day without justice is another day we cannot fully rest, another day estranged from Danny's 2 sons, who we miss dearly. Okay, so anyway, this is such an amazing book. Let me look at the comments there. And again, if anybody wants to join in too, I'll put that in the chat box. Okay. So maybe in regards to the comments, I'll start from the top and go down. Okay, so don't forget about the book giveaway. If you would like to enter the drawing, then you need to leave a comment on the actual video, not just in the live chat. So once this live stream is over, then you can leave a comment on the actual video saying giveaway book no later than Sunday, tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so you have to be at least 18 and older, have a U.S. mailing address, and be publicly subscribed to this channel, which means that the subscription setting on your YouTube account has to be set to public so I can confirm that the person is really subscribed to this channel. Leave a comment on the video later saying giveaway book no later than tomorrow at 5, and then I'll announce it through a community post later tomorrow night, the 2 winners. And also you have to have a U.S. mailing address. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Okay, you guys are talking about that interesting new video on Fancy Fiction where she showed the Wheel of Fortune clip where Donna Adelson was on Wheel of Fortune in the late 1980s. Yes. Justice for Dan and the Markell family. Thank you, 5-car. Hey, Tony. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes, that is me. That is not a scam. I really do want to purchase and send 2 copies to 2 people who are in the United States and would like a copy of Ruth Markell's book. Oh, Fancy Fiction did show up. Thank you for being here. Thanks, everybody. Oh, okay. Well, maybe some people don't have the book yet. Yeah, but it seems like people who are really watching my channel are so dedicated to the Dan Markell case that most of us have it already. Yes, it is a giveaway. That was not spam. Okay. Yeah, I said I'm just trying to give the book to anyone in case you can't afford it or you just want a free copy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know exactly how you set your YouTube subscriptions to public, but I'm sure there's something that you can click on within your account to change the settings, because it's been a long time since I had to do that for my channel. Yeah, so dude wants to know, are there any updates? Tell me something groundbreaking and tell me Charlie is spilling. I got a spark of excitement. Is it going to happen? Anyone, Bueller? Okay, well, I mean, I don't have any groundbreaking news, so maybe we'll see it in the news if there is anything, because people are wondering since Charlie's attorney filed some sort of dismissal, or he took back his motion to get Charlie the MP3 player and to have longer meetings with him. So that makes people think that maybe there is some sort of plea deal. Yeah, but we're not sure. Yeah, so Tony says, I think Charlie is pleading. Yeah. Charlie will turn on Wendy once he's in general population. Okay. Okay, so people aren't sure, if there's any exciting news or not. Yeah. Okay, I didn't realize till today the Markells have legal representation. I was hoping Mentor would bring you on Pro Hoc Vice for subsequent civil issues. Oh no, I'm sure they have very qualified attorneys that are already licensed in Florida to help the Markells, and they do have that big firm out of New York City, Gibson Dunn, that has been representing the Markells. So they'll know what to do. They don't need me coming down from North Carolina. Yeah, I don't know anything about Florida law or procedure. Yeah. Oh, okay. You want an apology for your ignorance? Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay. So this is all really, these are really old comments from a while ago. Okay. Okay. We will pray to get, he will pray to get out if he's lucky in his mid 60s. Yeah. Okay. Hi, Sully. Charlie is right where he should be forever. Narcissists always think of themselves first. He will turn. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Okay, and Debt Free Dad is here. Thank you again. Thanks, Roxanne. And Shalom Jay for always being so supportive. Paper Thin, Gina. Um, oh, okay. Okay, so Harley is saying that motion is moot, I think, because it was pre-Arthur hearing. Okay, yeah, because I had no idea. I didn't know anything about that motion. Okay, so maybe we're getting excited over no news, really. So, okay, so if you want to get a free one, yeah, as I mentioned, just leave a comment after this live stream is over on the actual video saying giveaway book, and you have to, well, I know you're subscribed to me, right? Because you helped me with the channel. So thank you, Tilo. Yeah. Okay. So this we don't know. So yeah, don't get too excited. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. So just posting in the chat doesn't really count. So you guys have to actually leave comments after the live stream is over. Yeah. So I can streamline it better. Yeah. So please leave your comment after the live stream as a regular comment on the video. Yeah. Am I frozen? I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah. Nobody mentioned me being frozen, but I'm just digging through all these comments right now. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I think you can still order the book from Japan, right? Okay, because I figured, a lot of those internet places, especially Amazon, would deliver to other countries. Yeah. Okay. Uh, oh, okay. So Pancake said she got the book today and she's on page 8 and already cried twice. Oh, yeah. It's just a heartbreaking story and it's real, it's not fiction. So just makes you feel really bad and feel like you really want to help or do something about it, right? Yeah, it's great to meet Skeeter and the regular contributors. Yeah, thank you, Helen. Thanks for being here. Let's see. Okay, hi Stella. Hey Fancy, thanks so much. Everybody check out her latest videos and subscribe to her also. Yeah, please remember to leave the comment after the live stream is over on the video. It sickens me that the kids are with Wendy when they would be so much better off with Ruth. Yeah, exactly. Although, yeah, I mean, she probably feels like she's doing a great job raising the kids, right? Although, based on Fancy Fiction's wiretaps, it seems like the kids spend a lot of time over with the grandparents. They're helping to take care of the kids as if they have joint custody. Yeah. Does she talk about meeting Wendy the first time? Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, she just mentioned that Dan and Wendy met on J Date, and there are more questions that I wish we could ask of Ruth Markell. But of course, it might be too personal or things that she doesn't want to reveal now since the criminal case is still going on. So she doesn't give a lot of detail about what were her first impressions of Wendy. Did she suspect that Adelsons? When did she start suspecting that the Adelsons or Wendy might have had something to do with Dan's murder? Like those questions aren't specifically addressed in the book. Yeah. Oh, okay. So the book broke me into a million pieces yesterday. Okay. Oh, okay. $10 on Kindle. Yeah, that's great. I've actually never done anything with Kindle before. I still like real, if I do want to read a book, I'd prefer to read a real paper, old fashioned version. Yeah. Charlie doesn't go. No. Okay. Oh, okay. So Stella says, I was in the nail salon yesterday and I started weeping uncontrollably. Oh, okay. Yeah, the book definitely does have that effect. So, you kind of have to be in the right setting or the right mood to read this, very sad book, especially since it's still a case that's still going on and she's still not able to have regular access to her grandchildren. Charlie, don't socialize because it's not about him. Okay. Wow, how creepy, the Adelsons all at the funeral knowing what they did. Yeah, they weren't actually at the funeral, but it was a memorial service held at the synagogue in Tallahassee the Sunday right after Dan died. Yeah, so Harvey and Donna were there, and Wendy was there surrounded by other people who were, commiserating with her. So that was another reason why Ruth Markell didn't have access to the grandkids, because her grandkids were all the way in the other part of the room or other part of the building. And, there are all these people around. So she couldn't just go straight up to hang out or spend any quality time with her grandkids then. Ruth has more love and class in her Pinky than all of the Adelsons put together. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely struck by how tactful she has remained. Like, even in her interviews with me, as well as other channels, you don't hear her like just flat out trash talking the Adelsons or Wendy, or, things that even I or any normal person would probably be so enraged that you can't help but, show your true disgust and disappointment. But she's very with it, and very professional in her demeanor. Yeah, so very classy person. Okay, yeah, so we don't know. Yeah, is there really a plea, or is everyone just messing around? If so, why is Tut not erupting all over Tallahassee? Yeah, we just don't know. Just got to keep tuning into the local news every day to see what's going on. Or I'm sure Mentor Lawyer, being down in Tallahassee, would probably have any breaking news too. Yeah, she has strength and patience. Okay. Imagine if they didn't go to the funeral. Yeah, well, they didn't go to the actual funeral, which was in Toronto, but they did show up to the memorial service, and then were playing games with the police as well as the Markells, and then had already left town on Monday. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the quotes and passages that stood out to me, I pretty much read the main ones because, I don't want to give away too much about the book and everything, but such a wonderful, very, very heartfelt, and I don't know what other adjectives I should use to describe this. Very moving book, told from the perspective of the mother of a murder victim. Yes, so that it's not just Dan that was the victim, but also his whole family and his extended family and all the friends and colleagues who knew him. Yeah, Ruth is truly a lady through and through. She is a class act. Oh, okay, Skeeter, watching you in teary eyes, I got carried away. Go, Skeeter. Yes, Mentor Lawyer was mentioned in here. If you could talk to Ruth again, what burning question would you want to ask after reading this book? Well, I mean, I totally understand that she doesn't want to answer these specific questions since the case is still going on, and who knows? I'm just guessing, but maybe she would have to speak if Charlie has a trial. I don't know, but I would really want to know. When did you start thinking that maybe the Adelsons had anything to do with Dan's murder? And did you ever try to confront them or really ask them some hard questions? Because, I think that I don't know how I would behave if that were, myself in this kind of situation. But, if it's somebody that you thought in the past was part of your extended family, like, wouldn't you want to confront them, or at least call them up and be like, tell it to me straight, what exactly happened? And why'd you guys change my grandkid's last name? Why did you get rid of the name honoring my deceased mother? Why did you do this? Why won't you respond? Well, I mean, a lot of times it sounds like she did try to correspond with Wendy, and she would just be ignored. And even after a while, Wendy wouldn't even acknowledge the gifts that the grandparents had tried to send to the two children. So it's just really awful, just the mistreatment that the Markells have undergone. So yeah, thank you, Ultra Testosterone, for being here. Yeah, I hope they get a wife or ex-wife. Yes, she writes so eloquently, every detail. I would have Ruth write a second book after all the Adelsons are put away. Yeah, I would definitely read that too, like another book later on. She's so much smarter than me. Okay. Okay, so Tony was laughing. Okay. What surprised you most about the book? Were there significant facts that were not made in public? Would love to know what Ruth knows that we don't know in public. Yeah, well, I would say those a few of the passages that I read about how Wendy behaved and how Wendy treated her after Dan died, and but again, it seems like she is a very stoic person, but I would like to know more, like how did she feel emotionally after after certain things happen, like the kids' names being changed, and she does mention being hurt and baffled, at times and everything. um and she also explained the whole situation with contacting the Jewish Family Services and how she tried to explain that to Wendy when Wendy got all upset about it. And she also mentioned being, in my words, manipulated by Wendy right before the 2019 trial, where Wendy, not surprisingly, wanted to look good and be able to say at the trial that she had been letting the grandparents see the kids. So Wendy tried to control the situation by saying that, well, there can be some communications, but it had to be like pre-recorded. So the grandparents could like record messages, but they wouldn't even know if the grandkids had heard their messages or not anyway. And then after the trial ended, then once again, the rug was pulled out from under them and there was no more communication with the grandkids. And also back then in 2019, before the trial, it sounds like allegedly that Wendy had tried to condition this communication between the Markells and their grandchildren on Ruth telling everybody to stop harassing Wendy. And, there were some conditions that needed to be met before the so-called controlled communication could even take place. So over and over again, it looks like the Markells were manipulated by Wendy and the Adelsons. And there's not much mention of Harvey Adelson either, in addition to Charlie. So I would have liked to hear more details. What happened with Harvey? Like, did you have many communications with him? More details about how he behaved around them. I mean, I heard that he was behaving very strangely that weekend after Dan was murdered. And of course, he, along with Donna and Wendy, never went back to the police. Um, at least that's what the arrest warrants mentioned. So a lot of things in here that I had not known about. So it's really a great book with so much more information for those of us out there that really want to know every detail about this case and have been following this case very closely. Yeah. Thank you for being supportive. It's great to see Skeeter. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Hi, Debbie. Thank you for being there and always commenting and stuff. Yeah, I got this necklace free because I'm doing YouTube, and there was this company called Anna Luisa Jewelry that has been reaching out to different YouTubers and influencers, and they gave me a couple of free pieces of costume jewelry. So this isn't real gold. It's like gold plated, but it's like really good quality and heavyweight. So, I mean, it's one little perk of doing YouTube is once in a while you get these businesses reaching out to you to try to get you to promote their stuff. Yeah. But usually I don't get those kinds of solicitations though, because of the nature of my channel. So she knew she was wiping him out. Okay, Skeeter Girl says, thank you. I hope I didn't oh no, you didn't overtalk at all. Yeah, sorry you heard some sort of weird echo. Yeah. I guess like for people that are really professional, I should have like headphones or a better microphone or whatever. But I got this microphone refurbished on eBay for about $50 when I first started a channel, and it seems to be okay enough. Yeah. Thank you for all your comments out there. I know, Skeeter, that's why it seems we talk over. Yeah, because I think there is some delay. So yeah, it's not that we're deliberately trying to interrupt each other over and over again, but sometimes it's just because of, the delay because we're not in the same room together. Yeah. Okay. That's a damn shame. They felt like intruders. That is beyond tacky. Yes. They are so hateful. No, nothing, nada in regards to Charlie's plea. Yeah, exactly. I think people are just guessing. So let's just assume nothing's really happening. Don't get too excited. Yeah. Okay. Skeeter girl, nice you do Christian outreach. I'm a Jewish Christian. Okay, thank you, Debbie. Yeah, it's really nice when you guys have time to do outreach to other people. Yeah. News for Jesus. Oh, okay. Not sure about that. Hi, Sophia. Thank you for joining in. I hope you're doing well. I know you're in the UK, so it must be pretty late for you. Is it late for you or early? Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Okay. Okay, Christians and Jews are grafted to each other. Okay, people are saying hi. Okay, so, okay, people are talking about religion. Okay. Okay. Wendy was playing cat and mouse. She is a sneak. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this again previously in the last live stream with the quick thoughts about Ruth Markell's book, but I really did feel like, the way she treated the Markells was similar to the way she treated Jeffrey Lacasse, allegedly, from what I've read. That there was a lot of, what was it that Dan wrote in his legal pleading? He said something like "rope a dope," with the negotiations where Wendy would agree to something and then a couple of days later change her mind and pull the rug from under him, or yeah. And also, yeah, speaking of pulling the rug out from under him, when Ruth is talking about Dan and Wendy's divorce, it also mentions that apparently Donna and Wendy had also already been plotting the whole separation and Wendy's departure from the family home long before she actually took everything and ran while he was off in New York for a conference. So I was thinking, well, isn't that kind of similar to the way she treated the whole family and behaved, just basically, plotting, or allegedly, possibly plotting with her mother and family, um, before Dan was murdered, doing all sorts of stuff with her family and then surprising everybody. So anyway, I do see some like behavioral similarities, or the allegations are kind of similar between the way certain people have been treated, from what we as the public know about what happened. So anyway, just my opinion out there. Don't know who is watching this now and potentially getting mad and going to leave rude comments later. So, okay. Unbelievable. They couldn't see their grandchildren. Okay. Okay. Wendy equals heartless, says Sully. Feels sad for the Markell family. Okay, minus Robert, these people are heartless cowards and murderers, just my opinion. May justice be served one by one. I believe the mystique is due in part to the absolute brilliance of Wendy Adelson, whose IQ is undoubtedly off the charts, yet Lacasse said she is childish in regards to decision making. Yeah, well, don't a lot of us know people who are academically brilliant, but they can't seem to get their lives together, or they're deficient in some respect. Like I know people who went to Ivy League schools who, have been total disasters in regards to their romantic lives or financial planning, or I mean, yeah, just being book smart and being valedictorian or salutatorian doesn't really necessarily mean that you're going to be awesome in all aspects of life. Yeah, much less being ethical and moral. Yeah, poor Dan. Where were the children supposed to sleep when they visited Dan? Yeah, so that's what is stated in the book, was that so much of the furniture and stuff, the kids' stuff, was all gone except for those toddler clothes that didn't even fit them anymore. Yeah. Okay. Yes, please be sure to leave a comment on the video after the live stream. So leaving a comment in the chat box is kind of not enough for the entry into the drawing. Yeah. Okay, sucker punched poor Dan, and a loving mother hearing the pain in his voice. Yeah. Wendy is a very mean woman. She's brutally rude to the grandmother of her children, Ruth Markell. I dislike her even more. Well, that's definitely the feeling I got after reading even just the first 20 odd pages of this book. It's like, oh my gosh, this is just horrible. So, and Ruth also mentions that she developed a heart condition, I think atrial fibrillation, and had to undergo therapy for her heart condition because of all the stress of this. And of course, as I mentioned before, her uncle, Uncle Lazar, who basically was a father figure to her after her father died, he died just about 3 months after Dan was murdered, and he was cognizant enough to understand when she told him that Dan had been shot and killed. And he was in such grief that he ended up dying soon after Dan did. And um, based on the divorce papers, it looks like his family jewelry or the family heirloom jewelry was never returned either after Wendy and Dan separated. Yeah. Hope the boys see all of this one day and walk away like Rob did. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is where I was reading the part about the baby blankets that Ruth Markel tried to give to her grandsons. Baby blankets. I made so many. I'm saving them if my kids have kids. They are so special. Yeah, that's right. And I'm sure she would have preferred to have those blankets back to her if they weren't going to be actually used for her grandkids. That's just such a special memento, especially after the person has already passed away. Yeah. I would need intensive therapy to comprehend and accept all of this evil. Yes. She doesn't harbor hate. She's too positive. Yes, she did say in a previous interview that she is a positive person, and I'm like, wow. I guess that's a good coping mechanism. Yeah, I mean, for some people, including myself, I'd probably be wallowing in despair and hateful of all of life. But it definitely helps to sort of have like a positive attitude and be positive. And she really worked hard at other things too, take away her grief, like organizing a big get together after the unveiling so that they could be surrounded by friends and family, and also working on the grandparents' rights bill with Karen Cyphers. I think that made her feel really productive and happy and doing something that Dan would be proud of. Yeah. Okay, teenagers can be brutal. Just wait. Karma is coming. We have been cheering them on. Just wait till Brother Robert talks freely. You'll hate Wendy more. Okay, well, that sure would be interesting. I hope he's doing okay, and if he fills up to it. I mean, wouldn't it be great if he gave an interview to some place, like maybe Surviving the Survivor, or if Robert is watching out there, I totally welcome him to come on my show too. I know I'm just a small YouTube channel and I'm not a professional journalist, but I would love to speak with him as well as anybody else who actually knew Dan, and hear what they experienced or what their views are. That would be really interesting. Okay, I didn't think I could stand Wendy before, but now I can only describe her in words that I can't use here. Hi, Fancy. When will Robert speak? Do you mean in a trial situation? Okay. Oh, okay. So Fancy responds. She says, I don't know. Okay. New level of evil revealed. Okay. It's very sad how many friends and supporters Wendy Adelson has. It's a sick world. Yeah, Fancy definitely seems to know a lot more information than is known by the general public. And you do wonder, maybe her friends and supporters have just stopped even reading any news or watching anything related to the case. Do you mean he already taped something? No. Okay. He spoke to a podcast early on, so I can see him talking again to someone. Yeah, that would be nice. Although, I wouldn't be surprised if he faced a lot of criticism and people got angry with him for speaking to the podcast. Yeah, you never know how people react. Okay, I figured she would be friendless by now. Okay. He did, but he broke from his family and thinks they all did it. Okay. Yeah, it's good that he is not part of that clan, you know. Hopefully he is enjoying his life with his wife and his kids and has plenty of other friends and extended family that support him. I thought he may have realized it was a mistake, so no more interviews. Okay, so they're still talking about the oldest brother, Robert Adelson. Okay. Fancy, true that. Who are these people? Shame on the supporters. Wendy's friends and supporters have shrunk. Okay, so Fancy says, regarding Robert, he is clearly the scapegoat in a narcissistic family. The sickness has yet to be told fully, and Wendy is a nasty person. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm interested in knowing, like, have you ever met her? Or, yeah, it sounds like you at least know people who have known her. Yes, very interesting, and thanks for sharing your information. He does think they did it. Very telling. Yeah, dude, shame on the supporters. Wendy has many friends and supporters. Okay. Who are they? Most sociopathic women have a lot of supporters. Okay, Fancy, your clip of Donna on Wheel of Fortune was quite fascinating, watching her body language. Oh, maybe I should watch it again. Yeah. Yeah. Well, she seemed like one of those fake perky type people. Yeah, talking proudly about her kids and how she manages the family. Okay, someone thought I was crazy saying that. Okay. When people support evil people, they become evil themselves. Okay. Tony says, yeah, especially if they're pretty. LOL. Not as many as when Dan was first murdered. Fancy fiction, it was inevitable. Okay. Fancy says, people could not believe Ted Bundy did it because he was so handsome and charming, even after all the evidence came out. Yeah, that is incredibly frustrating. That's why I keep saying, yoo-hoo, Wendy, we know you're watching. One of her friends could be watching all of it. Yeah, exactly. So Sully says, Robert is very clear of how he feels about his family on the podcast, Over My Dead Body. Great podcast. Yeah, I mean, definitely worth listening to multiple times, although it was done years ago before more news came out. I'll never forget in Katie McBanuel's trial #1, the judge dissed Ruth before her impact statement, which was weak sauce in my honorable opinion. Yeah, didn't a judge kind of like say something to her about how she needed to like present her victim statement? I remember like thinking, well, geez, that's the victim's mom. Let her say what she wants to say. She was reading very eloquently and not breaking down or yelling or whatever. Yeah. Okay, such a treat to see Skeeter at last. Wasn't it Buddy who had a girlfriend who took care of her kids? Oh, okay. Are you talking about Bundy? Okay. Yeah. You are doing fine, Skeeter. No apologies necessary. Wendy never stayed in touch with her boys when Dan had them, but Dan always made a point to call them on Wendy's days. No surprise since Donna seems to have them all the time now. Ruth is far superior than nasty Donna. Skeeter girl sounded great. There's a documentary on Netflix told from his girlfriend's and daughter's perspective. Okay, I guess you're referring to Ted Bundy, right? Plus lots of female law enforcement. Very good watch. Okay. Yeah, there, like I've said, there's just so many criminal cases out there. And I can't, unfortunately, I can't really do a deep dive or cover all of them. It really takes a lot of time just covering the Markel case right now, but there's definitely more cases I want to look into. Donna has venom in her veins. Wendy would not see or talk to Dan the week of the murder. They had to discuss the school for the older boy, and it wasn't happening because she knew. Okay. Okay, superficial family. Ruth is my idol. Okay. Okay, I think I have to wrap things up because I didn't think that I'd be on for so long. Okay, yeah, thank you so much for that fancy fiction video with Donna on Wheel of Fortune from many years ago. Yeah, they're an incredible family. Okay. Oh, okay. Buddy? Okay, who's Buddy? Okay, gosh. Yet another case, I guess, that where somebody got killed. Okay. Loved your Wheel of Fortune video. Ruth was not trying to take the boys away from Wendy. Their arrest was imminent. There was no family in Miami, so she called the Jewish Center to make sure they could get them until they arrived. Yeah, that's right. And Ruth tried to explain it to Wendy, but instead she apparently used it as an excuse to say, well, no more visits. My brother wasn't trying to put my kids into foster care. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, Ted Bundy falling for a killer, official trailer, Prime Video. Okay, interesting. Okay. Okay, people want fancy fiction to get on. Okay, well, feel free to get on if you guys want to, but I think I'll wrap this up in a couple of minutes. Yeah. Markells need to stay strong as they have been until all the Adelsons have been put away for good. Yeah. They get love letters, etc. Oh yeah, attending a few days of trial. I definitely would like to. Yeah, I'm kind of debating whether I would drive or fly there. Because if I drove there from North Carolina, it would probably take about 9.5 to 10 hours. Well, that doesn't include stopping off, and I'd probably have to spend the night in a hotel on the way down. So, yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards flying down, and luckily it doesn't look too expensive. I've been checking out the flight costs and the hotel costs and stuff. Yeah, so that I think that would be pretty amazing if I could take some time off work and fly down there at least for, say, like 3 or 4 days. It just really depends on my work schedule, also, then. And I don't even know, well, we don't even know when the trial really is going to take place. It could be as early as late February, or it could, stretch on until May, maybe even later. So, yeah, I really would like to attend. It sounds like it would be a really interesting thing to do. And also, I could actually cover it live or right outside the courthouse for you guys, too. And it would be nice to meet some of the other people that have been following the case. So I do hope to be able to be there for at least part of the trial. Oh yeah, look at the Menendez brothers. They got married. Ugh. Yes. Yeah. I mean, like, people who are supposedly attractive just get away with more things, right? He had a girlfriend, was close to her daughter. Incredible. Okay, thanks for the link. Lots of stuff on him. Hi, Dan Plemick. Justice for Dan. Yeah. Okay, you're gonna send yours to your daughter when you finish to borrow. Okay, that's great to hear. Yeah, should I write a book? No. I mean, yeah, I just don't have time to write a book about this also. Yeah. But, I have thought about writing a book about the Robert Wand case, but, again, it's so time consuming to write a book. Yeah, so I just have this YouTube channel where, to me, it's a lot easier just to throw up a live stream and talk about stuff. Yeah, as opposed to really doing the research and stuff. Okay. Hi, Kim. Thank you for being here. Okay, you need an Audible copy. Oh, okay. Well, I wonder if it's available in audio. Yeah, maybe later. So maybe you should wait until later and see on Amazon. I've never done anything through Audible. Yeah, but yeah, because it does seem like a lot of books eventually do get put into audio format. So hopefully that will be available within the next few months. Yes, thank you for being here. And I am not eating any chips today, by the way. So Wendy Adelson seems pretty useless, but smart enough to not get on cellular phones. Yes. Saw that Wheel of Fortune. I think Donna and her family think they're better than most. Yuck. Love Ruth, and it's awful that she doesn't get to see her grandkids. Yeah. Okay. Is Charlie is I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. Yeah, because even if he wanted to change attorneys, that still wouldn't really make sense to be withdrawing a motion regarding, getting MP3 players or having more time to have meetings. Yeah. So Charlie is done. They have too much evidence against Charlie. His attorney wants more money. Charlie's not going to give it to him. Yeah. Can you imagine, like, all his wealth being, like, drained away so quickly because of all the legal bills? I think the motion was withdrawn because they basically remedied the issues. Charlie's lawyer needs to argue something. Oh, okay. Yeah, what game show was Charlie on? The Price is Right? What, winning a TV? Okay, interesting. Right now they're playing the short game, which is 10% focus on convicting Charlie Adelson. Okay. Charlie probably paid like $1 million in legal fees for the ex-girlfriend who had 2 trials and the boyfriend he had to pay for. Yeah, didn't Mentor Lawyer say that he was going to have a video out about who really paid for Katie's legal fees? So I would be so interested in that also, if he does have that any information, because I remember towards at the end of the trial, Tara Kawas said something about how, it was publicly available, or something was available as to how they got paid. So yeah, so we shall see if Mentor Lawyer has some insider information. Yeah. Oh, yeah, another alleged killer that was on Wheel of Fortune, Lori Vallow? Really? Okay. Well, I remember watching Wheel of Fortune a lot back in the late 80s, but uh, yeah, after a while, I just didn't really care about that show anymore. Yeah. Um, okay, the Markell's attorney is a BFD. What's a BFD? Okay, I don't know what BFD stands for. Sorry. Um, you mean big effing deal? Okay. If you watched a Facebook movie, The Social Network, Zuckerberg's attorney, Oren Snyder, was the same guy, BFD. Oh, okay. Well, that's great. That's great that the Markells have him on their side. Markell's lawyer is one of the best attorneys put there, just can't state that enough. Yes, exactly. So they certainly do not need me coming bumbling around from North Carolina to be pro hoc VJ for them. Yeah, Adelsons are done, brah. Would eat the Adelsons. Okay. Charlie shouldn't get a plea deal. Markells feel like family. Yeah, and that was very nice of Dr. Carm to say that she felt like we're like family now because we're all so into the Dan Markell case and supporting Ruth Markel and wanting to get to the bottom of everything. Is there any proof that Adelsons paid for Meg Banua's defense? I'm sure I butchered the spelling. Yeah, that's where we don't know because it could have been done through a third party, like giving money to a relative who then paid for the Adelsons. Yeah, but Kawas basically said that it was through Katie's family that they had financial difficulty, but they had pulled together to pay the bills, and that something about it, life insurance proceeds after Katie's mom died. Yeah, so I have no idea. Yeah, but I haven't heard of any actual proof that the Adelsons paid for Meg Banua's defense. Although, when the police talked with June, with Charlie's ex-girlfriend, they did ask her about whether Charlie had talked about paying for Katie's attorneys, and I can't remember exactly what she said, but there was nothing definitive said there. And I heard somewhere that Charlie was supposedly bragging that he had gotten Katie like a really good attorney, and Katie's attorneys were in the same building as the attorney that used to represent Charlie. I'm not sure, so I don't want to really say that as a fact. But if anybody knows more, I haven't heard of any concrete evidence that the Adelsons did indeed pay for Meg Banua's attorneys. So, yeah. Fancy fiction, you need to incorporate Harvey kissing a giraffe in your graphics. Yeah, that's pretty gross. Like, what was it that he put in his mouth? A peanut or something? He put something in his mouth, and then the giraffe came over multiple times to like eat it from Harvey's mouth. That's so disgusting. Yeah. I mean, even here at the North Carolina State Fair years ago, a bunch of people got sick and had to be hospitalized because they had petted animals at the state fair. So that's so filthy. Yeah. She had zero assets and only got 100K between the three of them to kill Dan, which they had already spent. Yeah, that's right. So, it could have been the life insurance proceeds from her mother, though, and then she did have at least one brother who seems to have a good job and has a real career. And then, of course, her former sister in law was embezzling over $1 million from her employer. Okay, they have to wait for civil. It could be years, hopefully not. Okay. Wonder if it's admissible. In 5 years, Wendy or Donna will be arrested and behind bars and indicted. Okay. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it doesn't really have any relevance to showing that someone murdered somebody if money was being paid for lawyers' fees for somebody else. Yeah, they can pay lawyers' fees anonymously. Ruth's uncle called it in the beginning in-laws, he said in Hebrew. Yes, that I found, very surprising and interesting to hear. Yeah, and you feel bad that this 97-year-old man, had to suffer such emotional distress too towards the end of his life. Yeah, Kindles are okay for plane trips. He used to read books before this repulsive family decided to red rum Dan Markell. Okay. Yeah, so I have no idea who really paid, but from what Kawas said, she was claiming that it was from Katie's mom's life insurance and the family pulling together. At what point did you know that your brother was involved in planning the murder of your husband? Yeah, I assert. Okay. Oh, this is horrible. You saw autopsy photos? Oh, okay. Well, I didn't even look at them, nor do I want to see them. Okay. Yeah, that just sounds like it would be too traumatizing to see that. Yeah, and Ruth Markell did say that she left the courtroom and stayed away from the courthouse when she knew they were going to be showing graphic pictures of her son after the shooting and talking about the autopsy. Yeah. Okay, Florida law needs to be revised. She said she can't show emotions, was not told to. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're talking about the judge telling her at the first trial, Ruth Markel. Okay. Ruth probably know how much we love and support her in getting justice for Dan, such a smart, wonderful man. Wendy still talks bad about him and we don't believe her at all. Yeah. I think the more we find out about the case, the more we feel that there's a horrible injustice done, and finding more about the character of Wendy. Okay, they weren't able to get the info on who paid the lawyers. What is Skeeter's relation to Ruth? Oh, well, she's not related or anything. She's just another person like you and me who's very interested in the Markel case. Yeah, and she used to live in my state and now lives in, did you say Minnesota? Or, okay, somewhere out in the Midwest. I can't remember now. I'm sorry. Yeah, where is True Lifestyle? She has some sort of news. Okay, so we're all waiting with bated breath to see what True Lifestyles is going to tell us. Oh, there she is. Okay, she is there. You're going to finish the book. That's great. Okay, hi, True Lifestyles. Thank you. We're all waiting to hear more news from your channel, too. Yeah. Okay. Well, unfortunately, I do have to get going, so I'm not able to keep responding to everybody's comments, but I can read them later. And if you do want to be entered in the random drawing to win a book, I'm willing to purchase 2 of Ruth Markell's books to people out there who are publicly subscribed, have a U.S. mailing address, at least 18 and older, and you have to leave an actual comment on the video after this live stream is over saying giveaway book. And please do so by tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll do the random drawing with one of those random picker websites sometime tomorrow evening and tell everybody who the 2 winners are tomorrow evening. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. Thank you guys all for being here. Okay, interesting comments. I'll definitely have to read this after the live stream ends. Yeah, so anyway, as you guys know, we're still not done reading the family court filings from 2014 between Wendy Adelson and Dan Markell. So hopefully Tony or Dawn and I can continue reading them later on this week. And then thanks to 5Car5, I see that something was also filed in Charlie Adelson's disability insurance lawsuit. So I need to get that and then probably also do another live stream about that. So there's still plenty of news. And of course, I do also want to cover some other cases and other legal issues too. Yeah. Oh, okay. So, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, thank you, Seattle Cookie. I've seen a lot of your comments on my channel lately, and I appreciate you tuning in. Okay, Skeeter is from Missouri. Thank you. What age do Ben and Lincoln get control of the insurance proceeds from Dan Markell's death insurance policies? I believe it's age 18, but don't quote me on that. But typically when kids get the proceeds, then somebody needs to be appointed guardian of the estate. And then, later on when they turn 18, then they are supposed to be able to get the money. But I'm not 100% sure about that because I don't practice in Florida and it's not really my area of expertise. But as far as I know, it's Dan's sister, Shelly, who is currently in charge of handling the money. And that will eventually go to the kids when they legally become adults. Yeah, 18. I mean, at least that's the way it is where I practice, but it's not really my specialty of law either. Okay, well, definitely be sure to leave that comment under the video after the live stream. It's not just during a chat. So thank you guys for being here, and hopefully I'll see you guys in a few more days when we have time to do another live stream. Have a great week. Thank you.